Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to explore ideas that honestly can really change things, not just your life, but how you see reality itself. Have you ever, looked at someone who just seems to glide through challenges, building amazing things, reaching a level of success that feels maybe a bit out of reach for you? You might wonder, do they know something I don't? Is there some kind of secret? Well, today that's exactly what we're diving into. The topic is mastering mindset shifts for success. And look, this isn't just think positive fluff. We're looking at a really fascinating set of 10 powerful mindset shifts. These are actionable ideas, really, designed to shift your thinking from maybe struggling or just getting by to genuinely thriving. Our mission today: unpack these shifts, get why they're so powerful, and give you practical ways to start using them.
That's exactly right. And what we're about to get into, it really hammers home a core idea. Your external reality often starts with your internal one. It all starts in your mind. These aren't just, philosophical ideas floating around. They're practical frameworks. They come from some deep analysis, and they can absolutely lead to tangible results in your life. So yeah, we'll break down each one, give some examples, and really connect the dots for you.
Okay, let's unpack this first one. It's a really powerful reframe right away. Stop competing, start creating.
Mhm.
It seems like so often our go-to mode is just comparing ourselves. We look around, see what everyone else is doing and try to do it better or, just fit in somewhere. But the material we looked at has this fantastic example. Netflix didn't battle Blockbuster. It made Blockbuster irrelevant.
Wow, that's a completely different way of thinking, isn't it?
What's the real takeaway here for us?
It's huge, really, because it just flips the script on how we normally think about business or even personal strategy. What it means for you is realizing your best advantage isn't usually found trying to beat someone on their own turf. That's often a losing game, or at best, zero sum. Instead, it's about innovation. It's about creating your own unique lane, a space where you are the one setting the terms. When you stop trying to compete head on, you free up so much mental energy
Yeah.
and resources you'd otherwise spend just trying to catch up, and you pour that into creating something genuinely distinct. It's not about being better necessarily. It's about being different, irreplaceable even.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
If you're truly unique, who are you competing with directly? And that idea, it flows really nicely into the next big shift. Ditch scarcity, embrace abundance. Man, it feels like that belief is everywhere, that success or wealth is limited. You hear it all the time, right? Like there's only so much pie, and if someone else gets a big slice, yours automatically gets smaller.
Oh, absolutely. It's a really deep-seated belief in society, but the insights we're exploring, they push back hard against that. The source material flat out says, not true. There's no limit on how much money you can make.
Mm.
This shift is about understanding that focusing on creating value instead is what really drives prosperity, and then money will follow. Think about, say, the digital world. Value isn't like a physical thing. It's not finite. If someone creates amazing open source software, they aren't taking value away from anyone.
No, they're adding it.
Exactly. They're adding value that others can build on, sparking new ideas, new growth for potentially everyone. The more unique value you create, the bigger the whole pie gets. It doesn't shrink.
I absolutely love that, the expanding pie. It opens up your thinking about what's possible. And tied right into creating value, the third shift is, I think, especially relevant for the learner in all of us. Work to learn, not just to earn. Now, this is where it gets really interesting because, let's be honest, the pull of those high-paying but kind of stagnant roles can be super strong. When you've got bills to this, you grab the money now, but what's the potential long-term cost?
Precisely. This shift encourages prioritizing jobs or opportunities that teach valuable skills. Even if the immediate pay isn't the absolute highest, think of it this way. A high-paying job with no growth gives you a sort of linear return, right?
Yeah.
You get paid X for doing Y, but a role focused on learning. That offers potentially exponential returns. Every new skill you pick up isn't just one step forward. It compounds. It opens new doors, makes you better at solving problems, more adaptable. This is all about playing the long game, which actually we'll get to next. Because growing your skills, that directly fuels your long-term earning potential. It lets you create more value later on and command more opportunity over time.
Okay, so that idea of long-term thinking is a perfect lead-in because our next shift is exactly that. Play the long game. Now, I know you might be thinking, listening to this, yeah, heard that before. It's common advice, but the material we're digging into, it really stresses how critical this is, especially for avoiding those tempting get-rich-quick traps. It reminds us point blank, real wealth and success take time and persistence. And the danger is real. So many people have lost it all trying to rush it. What's the deeper layer here we might be missing?
Well, the insight isn't just be patient. It's more about understanding that progress often isn't linear. It's not a straight line up. Most people, frankly, quit right before things might actually take off, that exponential curve we mentioned. They expect immediate step-by-step returns.
Hmm.
But the reality is, those early efforts, they're often building a foundation you can't even see: skills, networks, reputation. The visible results, the real compounding effect, often only shows up later, after a lot of consistent, sometimes unglamorous work. Playing the long game means sticking with it, thinking strategically, even when the rewards aren't obvious yet, because you trust you're building towards something.
That's a really helpful way to frame it.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, it's easy to get discouraged if you expect that steady climb and don't see it. And when you are playing that long game, especially in those early stages where maybe not much seems to be happening,
Yeah.
it is so easy to get distracted by what everyone else is doing, which leads us right to shift 5.
Yeah.
Focus on your own growth.
Mm-hmm.
This has got to be universal, right? The challenge of envying others.
Mm-hmm.
You're scrolling social media, you see someone's curated highlight reel.
Mm-hmm.
It can be genuinely hard work sometimes to not compare.
Oh, it absolutely is. And what's fascinating here is the simple but really profound truth the source points out. If you continue focusing on your own progress, you will make progress. It sounds obvious, but think about the energy saved. This shift frees up a ton of mental energy. When you're constantly comparing, you're not just losing energy to maybe envy or frustration, you're also comparing your messy reality to someone else's polished performance. It's not even a fair comparison. Redirecting that energy from looking outward to looking inward at your own development, it creates this positive feedback loop. You focus on you, you develop skills, you see real improvement, and that genuine progress naturally motivates you to keep focusing inward. Just a much healthier cycle.
Right. The mental energy is precious. You don't want to waste it looking sideways. Okay, this next one. This might be one of the most liberating shifts, but also maybe one of the hardest if you're trying to carve your own path. Ignore others' opinions. It's so easy to get stuck worrying what people will think. But the material basically said, people will talk, let them. There's real freedom there. Whether you're chasing dreams, downsizing, or making bold moves, do you?
Nah.
But hang on, isn't there some value in listening to some opinions, like for feedback, especially if you're trying something new? How do you tell the difference between useful input and just noise?
That's a great question. And yeah, that's where the nuance comes in. The core idea is about having internal conviction for your vision, not needing external validation just to act. When you're clear on why you're doing something, you develop your own internal compass.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean you shut out all external input. No. You should actively seek out feedback, but strategically, from people who are where you want to be, maybe, or people with real expertise in the area you're working in, or just people who genuinely have your best interests at heart. You filter for data, for insights, for potential blind spots you might have missed. The noise usually comes from people who don't understand, or maybe they're operating from their own fears, projecting their own limits onto you. So this shift, it's really about developing the discernment to know whose opinions to weigh and whose to just, politely ignore, so you can act boldly based on what you believe.
That's incredibly helpful. It's not about blocking everything out. It's about choosing your filters wisely. And okay, as you're making these bold moves, focusing on your own path, ignoring the naysayers, you are going to hit bumps.
Yeah.
You just will. Things go wrong. And that's where grit comes in. Our source actually lists it as the 10th shift. But it feels foundational to all of this, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's the bedrock for pushing through the challenges these other shifts might create. The material calls perseverance essential for success. And it directly says you will face failures, criticism, or challenges. No maybe about it.
Exactly. And grit is that core ability to just keep going when you hit those inevitable walls. But it's not just about stubbornness or gritting your teeth. It's more like passionate persistence toward those long-term goals we talked about, even when there's no immediate reward in sight. It's really the engine that keeps you moving. Think of it maybe as intellectual resilience. When you face a setback, someone without grit might just fold. But someone with grit, they see it as information, as data. They ask, okay, what did I learn here? What assumption was wrong? How do I adjust my approach? They take the lesson, they adapt, and they push forward again. They know that every stumble is actually a chance to refine the plan. It really turns setbacks into fuel.
Okay, that makes so much sense, linking grit directly to learning from the tough stuff. Because, yeah, the tough stuff will come. All right, now here's one that sounds, well, it sounds a bit backwards at first. I really had to chew on this one. Make yourself replaceable.
Yeah.
How on earth can making yourself replaceable be good for your finances or your future? My immediate reaction is, wait, don't I want to be indispensable?
It is a bit paradoxical, isn't it? but it's a brilliant reframing of where real value lies. The core idea is to shift your focus towards owning income-generating assets that can pay you every month, ideally without your constant input. Here's the paradox. By building systems, by delegating well, by creating processes that don't rely solely on you showing up and trading time for money, you're not making yourself obsolete. You're actually freeing up your most valuable asset, your time, your focus, your energy for higher level thinking and action.
Ah, okay.
For entrepreneurs, this means building businesses that can run and even grow without you having to be there doing everything. For employees, it might mean developing skills that let you automate parts of your job or building side income streams. So your family's financial security isn't totally dependent on that one paycheck. It shifts you from just being a worker to being a system builder or a force multiplier, which ironically makes you more valuable in the long run, not less. It's about building security, leverage, and ultimately freedom.
Wow, okay, that really flips the script. It's not about getting fired. It's about building personal freedom and options. And thinking about security, about options. That brings us neatly to shift 8. Plan for the worst, prepare for the best. Life happens, right? Curveballs get thrown, recessions, layoffs, unexpected health things. These aren't just abstract possibilities. They're pretty much inevitabilities over a long enough timeline.
And if we tie this back to the bigger picture, this mindset isn't just about surviving the storm. It's about being ready and maybe even profit from it when things get chaotic. It's about being deeply proactive, not just reactive when crisis hits. By preparing now with things like savings, investments, and a game plan, you build a buffer. That's the obvious part. But beyond that, times of major disruption, they often create huge opportunities. When everyone else is panicking, reacting out of fear because they weren't prepared, you, having done the groundwork, might be in a position to, say, buy assets cheaply, or launch a solution to a new problem that just emerged, or move into a market space that just opened up. So it's not just about protecting yourself, it's about positioning yourself to potentially thrive when things get turbulent.
Which flows perfectly into our final mindset shift. Number 9, find opportunities in bad situations. This really builds directly on that last point. How do you actually practically turn setbacks into opportunities for growth and innovation? Sometimes it feels almost like a superpower to be able to pivot from feeling down about a failure to seeing an opportunity in it.
Yeah, it can seem that way, but it's not magic. It's really about active thinking, that metacognition we touched on with grit. The source material advises, look at everything as a learning opportunity. Take notes, apply what you learned, and keep moving forward. So when something goes wrong, the real opportunity is in asking those hard questions. What specific assumption that I held was proven wrong here? What new, valuable data did this mess up give me that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise? And how can I use this failure now as like unique intel to do better next time?
Yeah.
Every challenge, every setback gives you beta points, data for improvement, data for innovation. Instead of seeing it as a dead end, you view it as an experiment that produced a result, maybe not the one you wanted, but a result nonetheless. And that result informs your next move, fuels your growth. It's the ultimate resilience, really. Adaptability in action.
Wow. Okay, what a journey through these 10 shifts. It's really clear how they all connect, isn't it? From stopping competition to building grit, from learning focus to making yourself replaceable. They weave together. And these aren't just nice ideas. They feel like actual tools you can use, tools for your life, for intentionally shaping the future you want. So what's the bottom line here? I guess it means you really do have a lot of control over your internal world, how you choose to see things and react to what happens.
Exactly. Think of this deep dive as providing a map outlining these potentially life-changing mindset shifts. But, having the map isn't the same as taking the journey. The real power comes from applying them. Honestly, adopting even just one or two of these shifts, but doing it consciously with intention, that alone can create significant momentum. It can really shift your trajectory. This whole process is about getting the knowledge, getting it thoroughly, but then crucially putting it into practice, turning the insight into real action.
So here's something to think about as you go about your day. Which mindset shift will you focus on first? What's the one idea out of these 10 that really clicked for you today? The one that you feel you could start integrating, maybe even right now. Just consider, how might applying even just that one shift begin to level up your own life? Maybe expand your income or open up possibilities you hadn't even considered before. Think on that. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.